the over. Promise you on that one. What the over is, you take the over.
Absolutely. I mean, you get what I'm saying? Like, it could be a 17-point game at the end, but I think this is going to be a fun watch. I don't think I'm saying that because it's going to be on CBS 47.
No, I think if you get to I think Florida loses by 10-14. I think it's something like 62-48. Florida's going to score. Everybody's talking about the LSU game. They weren't ready. They thought they would just show up and win. I think Florida's capable. In fact, I told something, Brent, the other day. I said, you remember the LSU game last year?
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of game I expect to see.
There you go. That's good. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690, joined by Rick Catlett in his final year as the president CEO of the Taxslayer Gator Bowl. Unless you've changed your mind, Rick.
No, I hadn't. And actually, I retired in July, but they hadn't replaced me, so they asked me to continue to do it. So they're getting an extra 6 months out of me that I didn't plan on giving them. But, no, it's all good. It's all good. I'm excited. We're going to have a great game, good matchup. COVID's going to screw everything up, but it's been doing that the whole year. And we just look forward to a 2021 and getting back to normal and a new CEO. And we got a really good one coming in, and so we're real happy over here.
Wow, that's good. I'm going to ask you this as bluntly as I can ask you. Is it definitely going to happen in your mind, the Taxslayer Gator Bowl?
Well, yes, it's definitely going to happen unless somebody shows up here on Friday. Our game is on Saturday, January the 2nd at 12 noon. They'll get tested at their school on Thursday, fly into Jacksonville on Friday. They'll get their results, and there's a possibility that if somebody doesn't have enough players, they could do that. But looking at our board, we're looking at some teams that are having no problem with COVID, so we think we're going to be in good shape.
Rick, obviously, when you're going through the criteria of who to bring in here, what teams, obviously it depends on the rankings and the wins and losses and all that stuff. Well, let's be honest, with COVID-19 this year, especially with the Big Ten, the wins and losses aren't the same. There hasn't been a lot of games played. So have you had to kind of change your criteria now about who you guys want to play in this game?
Well, we call it the three-legged stool. We want heads and beds and fannies and seats. Those are the first two criteria. And the last criteria is television ratings for our title sponsor. This year, we're limited, as the Jaguars are, to capacity of 16,000. We don't expect to have a lot of people traveling because of the COVID. So we've given up on the idea of heads and beds and fannies and seats, and we're strictly focused on television. But, yes, this is you look at these teams and you try to get some matchups that will be intriguing for people to watch. And, I said all along for the last 3 weeks I'd love Ole Miss and North Carolina because of their wide-open offense. North Carolina goes down and beats the heck out of Miami and ends up more than likely playing in the Orange Bowl. So that kind of leaves us on the ACC side with NC State, who won their last four and finished 8-3. They're a ranked team, and Miami, who's also ranked at 8-2. So from that perspective, we've got some good teams that have had some good years. On the SEC side, they're so dang good at the top. You saw the rankings. Florida didn't drop as much as everybody thought they would. If they were within 14 points of Alabama at the end of the game, they probably stay in the New Year's Day six. So Florida, Georgia, Alabama, A&M are all four off the board, and then you've got Auburn, Ole Miss, LSU has decided not to play in a bowl game, and Missouri and Kentucky. Those are probably the four teams in our mix, and if I had to guess today, it would probably be between Ole Miss and Kentucky. I don't think you want to have an Auburn team that's fired their coach and in the middle of all the issues that they're dealing with right now. And I think Missouri will be off the board. If they beat Mississippi State, they'll be 6-4, and they'll be off the board. So we're probably in pretty good shape to have a good matchup and a good TV game.
Yeah, absolutely. Rick Catlett with us on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690. Recently retired, but still working, president and CEO of Taxslayer Gator Bowl. Has been hard to kind of step back, step away? I hope you're feeling well, by the way, spending time with the fam. But is it hard to get away once you've been in it so long?
29 years, I've not gotten burned out. I could do this for another 10 years if it wasn't for my health. The COVID has helped because a lot of the things that you look forward to in our jobs is not been able to happen. Our Chairman's Club weekend, going to the SEC annual meeting, the ACC annual meeting, the Big Ten annual meeting, those kinds of things you miss. but I would have missed them anyway because even still being here, we weren't having those. I'll really miss it next year, I think, is probably the time that you'll really miss it. But I will tell you this, not traveling and staying at home and watching college football on TV, I just have to tell you that's more fun than because I've never gotten to do that in the last 25, 28 years.
Yeah.
So sitting at home and watching all the games is a lot of fun.
Nothing wrong with that.
70-inch TV and just laid back.
and by the way, Saturday, for my money, Saturday, because New Year's Day, you got the bowl games spread out now, but Saturday with all the championships going on, that's the best day now of the year coming up.
Rivalry weekend and championship weekend are the two best, right?
Yeah. And
our bowl association now calls it bowl week, and we're going to have some really good bowl games. I've been disappointed a little bit with the teams that are opting out, but what do you do, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is the teams that are going to play are the teams at the top. They're good teams. They're going to play a lot of good teams on the other side. So this is maybe the way it should be, 20, 25 bowl games, and to heck with those other 15 or 20 of them. We'll stick to the ones that are important, right?
Well, we're glad the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl is still there, and on January 2nd. I will say this, and I'm looking up, I love Ole Miss's offense. So if you get Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, I suggest handing out clipboards to everybody, flying clipboards, that is. But you're talking 40 points a game. I think they're third in the country in yards. But you were not. You guys had your eyes on that right prize, because what a game that would have been on paper to get the Rebels and Tar Heels, who are third and fourth in the country in yards. But still, to get Kiffin and Ole Miss, I think people sleep on the Ole Miss offense because everybody's talking about Florida's and Alabama's. But I think they are right next in line in terms of, I will now flip on an Ole Miss game. What the heck am I doing watching an Ole Miss game? Mm-hmm. Because it's fun as heck to watch them play, Rick.
It's unbelievable. Great quarterback, great team, and they've been that way a couple of years. And, I'm kind of looking forward to the Ole Miss LSU game, because I think Ole Miss is going to do what Florida should have done to LSU and beat them pretty big. And, Miami let us down as usual. They're a pretty good football team. They got a great little quarterback, but, boy, they just wore them out. And it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. North Carolina's it would have been great. I started my career with Mac Brown. It would have been nice to finish it with Mac Brown.
Oh, that'd been a pretty cool bookend. Yeah, very, very cool. You guys have tickets on sale. What are the restrictions for the January 2nd game?
And whatever you have experienced at the Jaguar games is exactly the protocol we're going to use.
Okay.
We've got them spaced, 16,500 tickets roughly. We only have about 4,500 tickets left. The schools are going to get 1,000 for one school and 750 to the other school. So 4,500 tickets. We're keeping the prices low. Premiums, our partnership with the Jaguars has been outstanding, and they'll handle all the premium seats. So we think between those teams, we probably will have an opportunity to sell the rest of them pretty quickly after we make the announcement Sunday.
That's awesome. Let me ask you, kind of keep you for two more questions on college football in general, or maybe even college sports. But the Final Four, what is your take on Ohio State and these conferences that you're a Southeastern football guy, whether it's ACC, SEC, mostly SEC. But what's your take right now on Ohio State? This committee has been tasked over the years to say, give me the four best teams. But in this COVID year where the games are mismatch in terms of how many you play, are you okay with the Buckeyes getting in if they win Saturday?
If they win Saturday, I think that they should win. I think be in, because the Big Ten championship, even though they played a limited number of games. But let's fast forward. If they'd have played a full season, Ohio State would have probably, if they lost the game, it would probably only be one. So, yeah, I think I'm okay with Ohio State being in there if they win Saturday. Had they not played the championship game, I would have been opposed to them being in there. And you're really going on tradition and history of Ohio State. They have dominated when they've played, but they hadn't played anybody. There's nobody in the Big Ten that's any good this year. I mean, you just run down the Big Ten, and it's just, Michigan, Michigan State, all the traditional teams. I really love the Northwestern coach and all that they've done at Northwestern, but is Northwestern really that good? No, probably not. And I have the same issues with Coastal Carolina and Cincinnati. Put them both in the SEC and make them play 10 SEC games, and I promise you they would not be undefeated.
Yeah, although you put them in the Big Ten this year, and maybe Cincinnati does run the table other than Ohio
They
State.
probably would have won all the games except for the Ohio State game.
Absolutely. All right, so I have one more for you. We're getting into this new time frame of college sports where likeness and image, and there's a proposal on the table just over I think the last couple of days this has really popped up about reform in college football and college sports and Congress getting involved. Do you think let's just say a casual observer, not somebody in the weeds on college sports, will notice something big over the next, 3 to 5 to 10 years at the way college sports is operated because of all the dollars involved?
Yes, I do. And I think what we need to do in college football for sure is to have a commissioner of the college football thing. And I think that they ought to turn it over to the conferences to run. I think the last thing we ever want to see is Congress get involved in anything, because they can't even, in the worst crisis we've ever had in our country, come up with a COVID relief bill. Too much politics. So keep them out, keep the NCAA out, and let the conferences run it. I think there has to be a reckoning coming, because TV can't continue to pay the bills. I think it's a matter of time where $150 million athletic director's budget in Georgia or Florida is out of hand. Everybody talks about football. You talk about paying college football coaches $8 million. How about paying a women's softball team $1 million to coach your softball team with no revenue coming in? So I think there's going to be a change. Title IX is always going to exist, and so it will be the detriment of men's sports based on that you'll see some of the universities have to cut back on the amount of sports that they do other than football. So that's the problem.
Yeah, Rick Catlett from Tax Slayer Gator Bowl in retirement, but we still call him the president and CEO of the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Hey, great to catch up with you. Always love your thoughts on all of college athletics, and good luck with the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, January 2nd, noontime on ESPN right here in Jacksonville. We look forward to the Sunday announcement. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Brent, you've been a good friend all these years, and thank you, and Merry Christmas to everybody.
You too. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it. Looking forward to the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl coming up January 2nd. There you have it, too. Yep. I was curious. With all these teams opting out, are you definitely going to have it? Now, again, Rick gave the doomsday scenario of what if, right? What if the team were to come here and then you get all these positive tests, you don't have enough to play? That's certainly plausible, in any game that's happening these days. But it's on. They're pushing forward, and they almost had a really nice game with that. Ole Miss, North Carolina would have been something. I'm telling you, I would sign up for that and watch that every day.
Yeah.
Because we can talk about it. And I think I was critical maybe of it earlier in the year, or somewhat critical. Just the observation of, are they playing defense? Well, the bottom line is those games are the most fun to watch. I'm seriously never tuning in an Ole Miss game. I just don't. But Ole Miss is fun as heck to watch. I want them on when I get home on a Saturday night, and I hope they're still on at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock so I can watch it.
Listen, any team that drops 48 points on Alabama and Nick Saban, they got my respect, especially on offense. So I love Ole Miss to come to Jacksonville in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, and I'd like to have Lane Kiffin on the show. We can do a little double feature of stay in your lane, if you will.
I like that. Thanks to Rick. He's done it for so long. He knows the ins and outs of